Right, if we're going to factor this, what do we need to do? Two sets of parentheses. K's go in the front. What goes in the back?
Positive 4 and negative 1.
Right. What multiplies into negative 4 that also adds up to 3? Positive 4 and negative 1. Okay, that's what we have been doing. So today, though, we are doing this. What changed? It's an equation. Okay, if there's an equation, if this is equal to that, then they want us to figure out what k or x, they want us to figure out what the numbers are. So everything we've done so far, like Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, they have not been equations, they've just been a polynomial expression. We can't solve for k. But now that we've got an equation, we can solve for k. Well, guess what my first step's going to be? Factoring, which we already did. So, you guys remember it was k plus 4, k minus 1, or k minus 1. Okay, so basically, this is saying that this times this, these two factors multiply to get 0. If two things multiply to get 0, what has to be true about one of them? At least one of them has to be 0. So whatever k value makes this factor 0, or whatever k value makes this factor 0, would be a solution. What k value makes this factor into 0? Positive 1. Because 1 minus 1 is 0. Right? If I plug in 1 for k, I get 1 minus 1 is 0. So this is like a 0. And over here I get 1 plus 4 is 5. Doesn't really matter what's over here because what's 5 times 0? 0. You see how it works? So k equals 1 is one of the solutions. What k value would make this equal 0? Negative 4. Guess how I could check my answer? Plug it in the original, not this one. Plug it in the original. 1 squared plus 3 times 1 minus 4 is 0. Negative 4 squared, 16. 3 times negative 4, negative 12. Minus 4 is 0. Anyway, they work. So this would be the solution. Okay, let's say that remember how on the worksheet we took some stuff out? Let's say I had taken a k out before I factored it like this. What k value could I put here to make the whole thing equal 0? 0. So if there's a k on the outside, or an x, probably going to be an x. But if you put a 0 out there, it doesn't matter what this is, it's all going to be 0. So now the answer would be 0, negative 4, and positive 1. Well, what if we took like a 2k squared out or something like that? What k value could I put here to make all this 0? Still 0, doesn't matter. So if there's an x or k or whatever on the outside, 0 is going to be one of the solutions. Okay, let's say we did our factoring. And we got this. By the way, notice this trick only works if you got a 0 over here. So you need to get the right side to be a 0. You need to get everything away from one side. So it's equal to 0. And then factor. Okay. Here's the trickier question. What x values make this 0? I'm not too sure. What x value makes this 0? It's 1/2. Okay, so let me cover this up. If I cover the 2 up, what would the answer have been? What x value makes this a 0? Positive 1. But if there's a number in front, it's positive 1/2. You guys get it? Okay, if I cover this 3 up, what would the answer have been? Negative 4. But now it's actually going to be negative 4 thirds. Okay, if you forget, you can just go over here and say, what makes 3x plus 4 equal to 0? And solve this for x. But definitely the fast forward trick is just negative 4 thirds, positive 1 half. But yeah, you could go over here and solve it separately. Okay? Yep. Are you not leaving today?
Well, I am, but I want to learn how to do it.
Okay. We're going to work on this some tomorrow, but you guys see the assignment already? Page 199. Let's do number 1 so we get Carson going here. All right, so it's rated factors, it's just a 3-term factoring. Why did she walk out? What are you doing? You can't just walk out without asking.
Maybe I want to run away from you.
What?
Maybe I want to run away.
Okay, what am I going to put in front?
X.
X. What am I going to put in back? What multiplies into 8?
4 and 2.
That adds up to 6.
4 and 2.
4 and 2. Positive. Okay, so this is, yesterday we would have been done, right? If we were doing the worksheet, but today it's an equation so we can solve it. What x values would make these factors into a 0? What x value would make this factor 0?
Negative.
Negative 4 or this one?
Negative 2.
Negative 2. Just do the opposite. Any questions on that so far?
No,
All right.
plug them in, or is it? That's just it.
No, well, plugging it in is if you want to check and make sure it's right.
Oh, okay.
But I'm feeling confident, so I'm gonna keep on rolling.
Mr. Jordan is always right.
Except for that, remember that one time I thought I was wrong? Remember that well?
Yeah, but if you thought that you were wrong about that, then that means that you were also right about it.
No, I thought I was wrong, but I was right.
Yeah. So you thinking that you were wrong, but turned out to be right, means that you were wrong about being wrong.
Guys, cars could be learning.
Yeah, I was wrong about being wrong, so I was
This
right.
could have been a learning moment. If you stop with your
It's,
shenanigans. Will shenanigans just...
I'm just giving you a hard time, Will.
circular reason. No monkey.
Okay, yeah, we don't put up, we do put up with shenanigans, but we do not put up with tomfoolery.
That's just crossing the line.
All right. What goes into 45?
5 and 9. 5, 9.
How do we get negative 4 out of 5 and 9?
Negative 9, positive 5.
Negative 9, positive 5. So on this one, guys, you don't have to copy the original problem, but this would be like showing your work right here, just the factoring part. And then, of course, don't forget the answer. Gracie, what a values would make these factors 0? 9 or negative 5? Number 5. Okay. Oops. This one might get us because it does not look like the worksheet. It's not 3-term factoring, right? So do you remember the other kinds of factoring? What's the first kind of factoring? Take stuff out. Is there anything that we can take out on these two? A Z. Is that it? Can't take out a 2. So yeah, it is. I was just checking. But what's left after I take a Z out of these? 2Z plus 7. Okay, let's see if you guys remember. If there's a z on the outside, what is one of the answers?
0.
0. Oops. Alright, and the trickier answer, you guys remember this one? If there's a number in front of the z, remember how this works? Okay, if it just says z plus 7, what would the answer have been? Negative 7. But instead, it's negative 7 over 2.
It would also be negative 2.5.
That is the same thing as, yes, 7 over 2. Number 7, 2x squared minus 9x minus 5. Okay, so this is 3-term factoring again, but it's got a number on the front. This is pretty close to the worksheet from yesterday. So, to make sure we're doing this one right, these are the kinds where we have to FOIL the outside inside to make sure it's actually right. A little bit harder. Okay, so for the front, what goes into 2x squared? 2x times x. For the back, what goes into, what multiplies into negative 5? 1 and negative 5, or negative 1 and 5, or something like that. Okay, these don't add up to negative 9, but when we FOIL them, like outside, inside, they need to add up to negative 9. So how do I do that? What do I need to put with the 2 to get close to negative 9? The negative 5. Well, yeah. These two, the outside gets multiplied together. So I'm at, what do I need to put over here so that one will multiply them together? That gets close. Because negative 5 times 2 is negative 10, right? That gets us close. And then the plus 1, what's negative 10 plus 1? Negative 9. So that is the right one. 5 is one of the answers, or, remember how to do this one? Negative 1 half. I might need to go around and see if you guys are getting it. Number 9. Can we take anything out on number 9? We should always check that, but the numbers are bigger than that. Mason, sit up. You gotta take your hoodie off too. Can we take anything out on number 9? No. 37 is not in your times table. It's a prime number. So no, nothing goes in. So we just gotta do the normal thing again. That's a plus. Well, okay, I'll just fix it down here. Alright, so what goes into 6x squared? 6x and 1x. Okay, I'll give you a hint. This book was more likely to use the middle. I actually did check the answer. What else goes into 6x squared besides 6x times 3x and 2x? Yeah, that's going to be the one we need on this one. So we just got to kind of try and see if it works. So normally that's how it works. What's the first thing you think of that goes into 56? If you remember, if you remember your times tables. Okay, so I'm going to try 7 and 8. If I do the outside, that gives me 24x. The inside is 14. 24 plus 14 is 38. Not quite. So let's try switching the 7 and the 8. Now the outside is 21. The inside is 16. What's 21x plus 16x? 37, that's the right one. Okay, now it's time for me to pick on somebody. Pick on somebody your own size. How about Jaden? So evidently these are S's, so I'm gonna write S equals instead of X equals.
Negative 8/3 or negative 7.
Yes. So you do the opposite, so if it says plus, you do minus. And instead of just putting minus 8, it's minus 8 over 3. Instead of minus 7, it's minus 7 over 2. You guys get the pattern?
Yeah.
Again, if you forget the pattern, you can always say, what makes 3x plus 8 equal 0, and solve that for x. I might have to call on the back table this time. Tabor, maybe Tabor's up to bat. Okay, on 11, okay, looks the same. Can I take anything out 11? I don't think they're gonna have it take anything out until, well, actually it looks like 13 you can. So maybe 13 is the first one. But anyway, 11 is gonna be kind of the same thing. Did I write it right? Write it right? Okay. All right. Tabor, what are we gonna put in the front? 1 what? What goes into 5m squared? What goes into 5m squared? 5m times 1m, or just m. And then for the back, what goes into negative 21? 7 and 3, but one of them has to be negative. So Gracie thinks it's 7. You already do it? Okay. We'll just try minus 7 and plus 3. What does the outside give me? 15. What's the inside give me? Minus 7. That does not add up to 32. So let's try and switch in those two. Now what's the outside give me? Negative 35. That looks better. Plus 3 is negative 32. So yeah, that's right. All right, Tabor, this was your part actually. What m value would make this equal 0? 7. How about this one? No. You always do. So you made this one positive. You said positive 7 for this one, right? So this would be negative. Did you say negative the first time? Okay. So it's negative 3 over 5. So yeah, you always do the opposite because it's got to cancel out. Okay. This will be our last odd for today. Good. I'll probably remember that we stopped here. Okay, Montana and Maury, you are a team now. Do you know how we can factor this one? We did it once today.
Here it's x cubed.
Oh, okay. It says x cubed right there. Alright, any ideas? It's not 3 terms like most of the rest of them. So the other question is, can we take anything out? What can we take out of both of these? An x, yes. So they both have at least an x, so I'm going to put an x out in front. What's left if we take an x out? Just the x squared and a minus 4. Does x squared minus 4 ring a little bell in your guys' heads? This was not on the worksheet, but it was on last Tuesday's.
2?
It's called a square minus a square. Remember that?
Yeah.
It actually because squares are things that have square roots. So the parentheses actually factors again. So all we said though was what times what equals x squared? X times x. And then for the back, what times what equals -4? Positive 2 times -2. These, on square minus the square, these should be like identical, these two parentheses, except for a plus and a minus. Alright. Mari, can you give me an x value that will make this factor 0? A little bit louder, I'm a little bit deaf. Positive 2. You don't have to put plus 2, you just put 2. And how about this one? -2. And if there's an x on the outside, what value could we put right here to make all this equal 0? I hear a few people whispering it. 0. If there's an x on the outside, 0 is one of the answers. Alright. I'm going to check number 2 in 1 minute. Who's already done number 2?